All right, I wanted to dive into some of the takeaways from the recent story by Jason Stark on The Athletic.
Yes.
Jason is one of the best writers out there, talks to executives around the league all the time, and he did a story about his takeaways from the MLB trade deadline that just passed. I'm going to share a couple of the nuggets with you, and then there's some quotes about Dave Dombrowski and how he's viewed by an NL exec and an AL exec. So, in total, there was 58 trades at the trade deadline. Anyone want to take a guess as to how many All-Stars were moved? 58 trades. How many All-Stars?
You're talking about ever All-Stars?
No, current this year All-Stars.
I feel like I didn't see that many.
There was very few.
I'm going to go with 2.
Tanner Scott got moved.
Correct.
He was definitively an All-Star.
And one of our counterpart cities got another. And it wasn't the White Sox.
The Cubs.
Isaac Paredes was an All-Star.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
So 2 All-Stars moved.
I didn't even have to know the names.
Of 58. You hit 2 right on the nose there. A pretty surprising amount. Jason also dug up this little bit of information. We talked about this yesterday, how no top 100 prospects were moved. And I was like, that's got to be rare. Yeah. Well, it's the first time that has happened since 2014. So a substantial amount of time in trade years.
Wow.
So that has been a rare thing.
That's a decade ago. I was graduating college.
Yeah.
Jamie's like, same.
Yeah. I too, kids, was also graduating college.
Hello, fella. What's the one with where he's got the skateboard on his back?
Yeah, Steve Buscemi.
Technically, I graduated in 2013. I graduated early.
Of course you did.
I was done 35 years.
Of course you did.
And then I did an extra semester.
Of course you did. You just did some credits for fun?
I did.
Just for fun?
I graduated with all these extra credits.
I love school.
I did.
Oh, it's great.
Everything's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
Yes, no top 100 prospects moved. First time since 2014. Executives told Jason that, guess what? Newsflash. It was a great time to be a seller. And still people were confused by what the White Sox did. Getting involved in Andrew Friedman's Dodgers 3-way trade. Executives around baseball, after reading this story, really liked what the Cardinals did, really liked what the Dodgers did. Don't understand what the hell the White Sox were doing using 3 of their best trade prospects in a 3-team trade when a guy like Kikuchi goes for 3 prospects himself with an 8 ERA over his last 2 months. Meanwhile, Eric Fetty, who has an extra year of control, could have gotten similar or more on his own. Yet they teamed him up with Tommy Pham and Kopech and did a trade that not only confused us, the amateurs, but it also confused executives around baseball. So we're not alone there. The White Sox, just a trash organization.
They are, and it's crazy because they're already in the midst of like an awful season when they're on pace. Poor Herb. They're already on pace for like one of the worst seasons in Major League Baseball.
Like, do you want to talk with us, Herb?
Yeah.
Do you just want to like?
Do you need a friend?
Do you want to curse a lot?
Yeah, I think it's crazy because to be the worst team in baseball and on pace for 120 losses, to be like one of the teams in history that's been able to do that. 1962 Mets did it as well, and then everybody after the trade deadline's like, this is what the art like.
What are you doing?
ESPN literally put out a piece. What were the White Sox thinking? Like,
what were you doing?
Everybody's like grading the trade deadline moves, recapping what happened. What are you doing, White Sox? Like, it's just adding insult to injury that you had a moment.
Executives were also talking about the Crochet thing, and we're like, it's not my player. I can't, but I would have moved him based on what the going price was on the market.
And Luis Robert Jr.
Yes.
I mean, you have pieces there. That's why, as much as we get on the Marlins for having a whole new team of 20 new prospects?
20 new farm system prospects.
At least they made a move for something. Like, you can at least look at that and say, all right, they're planning for the future. It makes sense. The White Sox, what are you doing? You have pieces. You could have moved for some prospects or just in general for some guys. You could have did anything, and you like. I feel like of all
Crochet
the options,
was the top thing on the market. And
of all their options, they did the worst.
Yeah,
and we talked about it on Tuesday. Like, they didn't have to move these guys.
No.
They're both under contract, or either under contract or team control. But we talked about it on Tuesday as well, where every year that goes by, you lose bargaining.
You lose a playoff run out of Crochet or Robert.
So if you let them go to the end of the year and your team's
you get all teams involved.
Your team's going to win 45 games this year and might be one of the worst teams ever.
42.5 is their over/under.
Yeah,
right now.
that's pathetic. But my point is, so you regroup in the winter or in the spring of 2025, but you just lost the 4 months of a playoff run for both of these guys. So your trade value
diminishes,
especially for Luis Robert, who now has 1 year before the options kick in. So now you're really at a spot where you have to figure out, is this our guy in 1 year compared to a year and a half? And I know it's not that much larger of a sample size, but it is a larger sample size. I think the White Sox, Chris Getz is in over his head.
And I think, to your point, you look at someone like Luis Robert Jr. I know we had talked about the injuries and everything. He is having his worst season of his career. And there's no guarantee it's going to get better. You know, if he continues with
he needs to get the hell out of a losing organization.
Correct. And then you look at somebody like Garrett Crochet, who's got all these demands, and even that didn't make sense. Like you're coming out days before the trade deadline with all these demands of, you know, what you want if you were to get moved and yada yada yada, coming out of the White Sox. Like it's a weird situation because they actually had two of the biggest names and pieces that they could move, and not only did you not move them, you made moves that make zero sense. So it's like, what is the plan here? What are you doing? Are you planning for the future? Are you planning for now? Are you just giving up altogether? Is the franchise just sinking like the Titanic? Like, what are we planning here?
Jason did note that teams were willing to ignore the contract edict thrown out by Garrett Crochet's camp. So you have to wonder the Phillies weren't blanching at that as a reason why they didn't get him. Maybe they just didn't get him because the White Sox are trash. Executives.
So I got to just tell, I'm sorry to throw you off the rails. I just Twitter searched Chris Getz.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And the tweets are just obliterating the guy. The one says, Chris Getz realizing he forgot to get Cardinals prospects in the Fetty deal. Chris Getz getting ready for trade deadline negotiations, and it's the poor guy at the Olympics who just absolutely belly flops on the dive. Like, he's just getting roasted.
Well, White Sox fans don't have much to hang on to, so you might as well roast the guy.